Alright guys, so it is that time to talk about some new leaks that are coming at us from the DCEU. Now these leaks are pretty substantial actually. From what I've seen of this information, there is a lot of specific stuff that is going to be talked about for future upcoming movies, new projects, new characters, new directors, new directions that Warner Brothers is taking their DC Films franchise going forward. So what I'm basically going to do is just break down film by film what they are saying about the future of the DCEU. And before we get into that, there are some general things I want to talk about going forward with future DC films that are listed in these leaks. So first off on the list we have Geoff Johns supervising all DC movies aside from Shazam and Justice League Dark, which are being developed by New Line Cinema. His job is basically to outline the plot alongside the director, providing the basis with which the writer will work with and make sure all of the movies are tonally consistent and following Warner Brothers notes and demands. So he wants to basically streamline the movies much more, not get this dark and gritty tone, but much more hopeful and light tone. Now the New Line projects are lightly connected to the DCEU but won't feature heavily in crossovers, so don't expect to see Shazam or John Constantine showing up on a Justice League movie anytime soon. Now Zack Snyder is still an executive producer on all movies in the DCEU, but he's no longer directing Justice League 2, but he is in talks to direct the standalone Man of Steel sequel. Justice League 2 is generally being restructured from its original version, as we have heard from the producers and directors that they want the original Justice League to be much more standalone. So here we're going to be getting into the actual movie stuff. So as for this leak, we're starting off with the Justice League movie hitting us next year. Now Justice League, there were substantial script rewrites early into production after the Batman v Superman backlash in order to streamline the narrative and add more humor. It's shaping up to be a pretty long movie with a 3-hour plus rough cut as a foregone conclusion, so it'll require some pretty substantial editing when the push comes to shove. Zack Snyder and David Brenner are already sorting out what stays and what goes to avoid another BVS scenario, but Warner Brothers is also saying the money in another Ultimate Edition for 2018 release. Studio heads are happy what they've seen of Justice League so far and are expecting Flash to be the breakout character. They think the movie can launch him to A-list and make him so big as, Captain America or Iron Man. Now Deathstroke is in the movie per this leak. He's one of the characters that the studio really wants to make happen in the mainstream. So they're pushing him really hard in this, Suicide Squad 2, and the standalone Batman film. He was written into the plot during filming though, so don't expect him to have a large role in Justice League. Now as per this leak, they actually say that Joe Manganiello is in final talks to play Deathstroke, and as we know, that's actually been confirmed. Liam Neeson is actually being sought to voice Steppenwolf, who's played by stuntmen in mocap suits. They want someone with a distinctive voice and a big enough name they can use to draw in the crowd. Idris Elba and Anthony Hopkins are also options among others, but they're favoring Liam Neeson right now since he's worked with DC before on the Nolan Batman movies. So pretty cool stuff there. Moving on, we have Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman is expected to be a box office hit, but Warner Brothers are expecting at least $600 million worldwide, and they're going to play up the female angle in the marketing. Test audiences have been held lately, and the public has been generally receptive, and it seems like some complaints about the movie slowing down in the middle, and they find it boring, so maybe they'll reshoot some stuff in there, but feedback has been surprisingly positive for Chris Pine's character Steve Trevor. His screen time is comparable to Gal Gadot's, and people have responded well to the love story. Don't put a lot of faith in the villains on this one. They're shaping up to be fairly generic in motivation and characters, though Cersei's and Ares have pretty cool designs. The ending of the Wonder Woman movie is supposed to lead directly into Justice League, including a Bruce Wayne Batman cameo. Next up we have The Flash. Now Warner Brothers and The Flash are lined up as their Spider-Man-esque teen character, supposed to reflect that why Rick Famuyiwa was hired. Expect a lighthearted tone and aesthetic similar to stuff like Dope or Scott Pilgrim. They're also banking heavily on the romance aspect between Barry and Iris West, and right now the supporting cast are mostly Barry's colleagues at the police department, but they're trying to build up, some other characters in the Flash universe. The villains are, per the casting sheet, the Snart siblings, Len and Lisa Snart, who are both metahumans in this version, and Lisa is apparently being made into a pyrokinetic for maximum poetry against her brother being an ice-type guy. Now Captain Cold's presence here nearly got him embargoed from the TV show, but Geoff Johns was able to work out a deal. However, the Golden Glider has pretty much been written out of the TV universe. The movie sets up the mystery of Barry's mother's death, and that's looking to introduce the Reverse Flash in a sequel. They initially wanted to explore that in this movie, but they're so certain that this is their first in their solo series with the best legs, and they want to space things out in their villains category. Next up, we have the Aquaman movie. The studio is pretty confident that Justice League will jumpstart Aquaman's popularity, but the script so far has some pretty expensive sounding set pieces that are being scaled down to a more agreeable level. The logistics of underwater action scenes and dialogue are being very carefully studied. Notable actors are being approached for some higher level roles, Aquaman's parents, Black Manta, and Orm, and casting will start early next year for the smaller roles as they're seeking a Mediterranean/Hawaiian actor to play Aquaman. John's father. Black Manta is being tweaked so his family has a deeper connection to Atlantis, but otherwise he's apparently sticking very close to how Geoff Johns writes him in his comics. Orm is also being set up as a potential villain further down the line. Expect a lot of Lovecraftian-esque deep-sea monsters to appear in this movie. The script calls for a curse involving them and the search for some sort of key that'll inform the plot and serve as the MacGuffin. Now here we are moving on to the future DC movies like Green Lantern Corps, Man of Steel 2, Suicide Squad 2, Shazam, that sort of thing. So the Man of Steel sequel just entered development stage recently. Snyder is expected to direct, while Kurt Johnstead, his friend who tweaked the Man of Steel script, has been approached to write the script for the sequel, which will feature Brainiac. The standalone Batman movie is being written by Ben Affleck and Geoff Johns, with Deathstroke serving as the main antagonist and a substantial role for Jared Leto's Joker. The Suicide Squad sequel is in very early stages of development, with plans to bring back the entire cast. Deathstroke might be included, depending on how the schedule works out. No word yet on whether or not David Ayer will want to direct the movie, but he has some interest in it. Now Shazam and Dark Universe are coming along under the New Line banner, and therefore not much is known about them. Directors are already being scouted for Shazam and actors for Dark Universe for a 2018-2019 release date for Dark Universe, being the Justice League Dark movie. So pretty awesome stuff. Can't wait to see what Doug Liman will bring to the table with that movie. Now Cyborg is actually in very early development. No script yet, no writers still being picked. Same for Green Lantern Corps, which is kind of surprising to me. It's known, however, that Warner Brothers wants to build the new franchise based around Jon Stewart and possibly Kyle Rayner as mismatched partners and rookies. Hal Jordan will obviously be featured in the movie, but have a smaller role as to distance themselves from the 2011 movie. Sinestro is being looked at as the villain. Now the Harley Quinn and Deathstroke spin-off movies are very possible, and there's active interest in a Deadshot spin-off movie starring Will Smith. Next up we have Justice League 2 and beyond, like just further way down the line past 2020. So Justice League 2 is in a state of flux right now. The studio wants a fresh approach from a new director. The release date is in 2019. It's being kept at the moment because it's prime real estate for cinema, but it might be changed depending on how long it takes to find the guy with the right approach. Some of the guys that they're looking at for the Justice League 2 are Matthew Vaughn, Colin Trevorrow, Ryan Johnson, Matt Reeves, and Francis Lawrence are the guys that they're kind of looking at right now for the movie. Another big movie project that they're shaping up is a Titans movie, actually headlining by Cyborg and Nightwing, who will be introduced in the standalone Batman film, bringing in the other classic characters like Starfire, Raven, and Beast Boy. And this is also another case where they are building up to Deathstroke that'll pay off big time. He's supposed to be getting some rivalry with Nightwing in the Batman movie, and that'll carry over into the Titans movie where he's supposed to be serving as the chief antagonist. The studio really wants to bank on this Deathstroke character. They want him to be their sort of mix of Captain America, Wolverine, and Deadpool, and they're going to try everything they can to fit him into different DC projects. So those are all the leaks that we have for this video. Pretty big stuff here. Like I said, pretty substantial leaks that are going on with these movies. Definitely leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Like I said, a lot of this actually sounds pretty legit to me, just how descriptive this leak was, just, you know, pointing out very specific things, pointing out the Joe Manganiello thing prior to him getting cast. This came out like a week ago, these leaks, so pretty cool stuff there. I hope a lot of this pans out, and I really hope that the future is bright for DC films, because I believe that if they can course correct and they can get stuff back on track, I think they have some pretty nice stuff lined up here. So anyways, leave all those thoughts down in the comment section below. What are you guys most looking forward to out of the upcoming DC slate? If you're stopping by the channel for the first time and you like this video, subscribe for more great content like this here at the Hybrid Network. My name is Nick, and I'll catch you guys next time.